Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Drew. This is Just a Guy Linux on YouTube, and today I'm going to be talking about a project that I've been working on. Today actually was the release of the i3 setup video. If you haven't taken a look, please feel free. There is quite a bit of documentation right here on GitHub. I will leave a link in the description below for this, as well as the project that we're talking about today. So while I'm thinking about it, let's go back over here and into repos. About a year ago, I decided I was going to do an install of a bunch of window manager. It was called Bookworm Scripts. It's got 182 stars on GitHub. But it is not something I want to continue, and it hasn't been for quite some time. I guess the last thing I did was 7 months ago. But overall, I'm just going to kind of archive this. The idea was to install 9 different X11 window managers. But overall, I kind of got away from thinking that this was a good idea. And so that is why you are seeing separate setup repos, i3 setup, IceWM, DK setup, and so on. My favorite being the DWM setup, my favorite by far, as a matter of fact, and then BSPWM setup. Those are my two favorites by quite a bit. Qtile is here. That's another video altogether, frankly, because there's a lot to say about Qtile and Debian 13, which I will not talk about right now. But I do want to talk about Butter Notes, okay? Strangely, there's 2 stars on this one. No, not sure why. This is a note-taking system that I've been working on for months. Now, it is not something I'm going to tell you to go use. That would be crazy. I don't think it's ready, but the idea, I think, is sound. It is a note-taking system built on FZF. And that is really the only, I guess RipGrip too, but FZF is really the main ingredient for this note-taking system. But it also led me to something that I wanted that was even more simple than this, and that is something called ButterBash. Let me go ahead and let's go back to overview. And I put it right here, I pinned it, and this is ButterBash. It's not been out very long, in fact, 18 hours. Now, I have not installed it yet. I wanted to wait until this video. Now, I had the opportunity to yesterday when I was doing the install for the i3 setup. It is actually part of the optional tools. So if you were to do an i3 or a DWM or any of these other setup scripts for window managers, you're going to find that this is going to be an option to install. However, you don't have to. If, let's just say, you wanted to install XFCE or GNOME or what have you, or anything, you will be able to use this this bash RC. What do we call it? Some software? I don't even know. This project. How about that? So ButterBash is made for Debian, but it can be used anywhere for that matter. It's definitely going to be agnostic. And we're going to talk about the features a little bit more. Modular. Now, what does that mean? Modular design means that the structure, the bash RC, will be in its normal place in your user home directory, okay? But anything outside of that configuration is going to be part of the .config bash. So if you wanted to extend it, you could actually add another, another file that extends the functionality of this bash RC and stick it over here, and you will have that new functionality available to you. Note taking, it's going to be very simple. And that's really all I need. I just need something that's going to be very simple. The other thing that I like is this clip, and we'll talk about that later. There is a to-do as well. And then there are a few utility functions like mkcd, which is create and enter a directory, okay? There's also extracting and backing up. We'll get to a lot of this, but I don't want to like make the video like an hour. So let's just kind of get to it. Okay, I'm going to go down here to the direct install and copy this. And let's go ahead and open up terminal, and let's go ahead and just let it go. Boom, and it's ready to go. So let's install .sh. And do we want to continue? Yes. And boom, it did everything except some of the recommended tools. So I am going to go ahead and make sure that FCF and ripgrep is installed. And I'm going to authenticate. And that should be done. Cool. Let's go ahead and reload the shell. So basically source, and then .bash rc, and there you go. Let's go ahead and clear the screen. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and close. So that way you can get an idea. When you first open the terminal, it's going to give you a welcome back, and it's going to give you the date, and it's going to give you uptime and load. Okay, now where does that come from? So I'm going to go over here to workspace 2. And in the bash RC, so let's talk about the bash RC for a minute. It's going to have a lot of environmental variables and shell options, but let's talk about the modular configuration section. So this is what we were kind of talking about before. All right. If you have a .bash in the .config bash directory, it's going to actually be added to your bash RC configuration. Okay, that's the most important thing to kind of take away from this section right here. We do have completion, and this is the welcome message that we just said. Okay, it's going to give you welcome back user, date, uptime, and load. Now, if you want to add additional anything else to your bash RC, there's also the .bashrc.local, which will be loaded. Now, this is I don't have one. Let's put it that way. So this is not something that I am currently using. I am using anything that's in that .bash. So let me just show you real quickly. So let's do it, and let's go to workspace 3 and open up a terminal. Thunar, and everything that's in this .config bash, including prompt, aliases, and the like, and then you've got functions. So we're actually going to go to the note and the to-do function quickly now, because I don't want to wait till the end and like save the best for the last. If you're going to watch this video, let's put everything that's really cool up front. Let's go over to workspace 1, because you're going to want to take a look at the core functions of the note taking. Okay, this is all that you really need to know. Okay, right here in this section. So let's go back over to workspace 2. Let's open up a terminal, and let's just say note. Okay, there are no notes. Let's go ahead and add one. Let's say note TLC, or the Linux cast, is broadcasting on Tuesday, August 26th. 26 at 8 p.m. Boom. And it's okay. We can add another one. Just say, I don't know, note. Let's say note, and then note 2. And we've added a second note. Now let's just say note again. And it's going to list the 2 notes that we just took. All right. And it has time stamped the 2 notes. Now let's go ahead and do something kind of cool. We're just going to go copy that. Okay, that line, note-taking function with clipboard. And now let's go over here and just say note clip. and it added the clipboard content. So now when we go Note, it should have, and it recognizes that it was a clipboard, and it has that text note-taking function with clipboard support. Let's take that one step further, okay? I'm going to go over, let's move this out of the way. Let's move that over to 4 because we're going to go over and look at the i3 config. And we are using SXHKD for our key bindings, okay? And what I've done here is I have added this to the key bindings. So when I have something in my clipboard and I use the keybind Super Shift V, like we do, like, you know, Shift or to paste something, it is going to run the command note clip and then notify by way of Dunst, which is our notification software, and it will show up somewhere over here. It'll say clipboard saved to notes. Okay, let's just do that. All right, we're just going to copy this, copy it, and now I'm going to hit Super Shift V. It says clipboard saved to notes. All right, let's go back over to, where did I put it? 4. All right, so let's clear the screen and just say note again. And now it has that, you know, the 4 things rather that I have either typed or added by way of clipboard by saying note clip, or using a keybind to send it to our note-taking application. Now let's, you know, obviously note 2 is not a very good note. So if I say note, note RM2, it removes note 2 and it says, do you want to overwrite? It is actually, and this is actually good because it is just a .notes file, which is in your user directory. So if I say yes, and then it removes it and renames it. And now when I say note, it has then removed note 2 and has made everything, you know, has changed note 3 to 2 and so on. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's open up another terminal. Actually, let's move this over to 5. And let's go to 5 and just say note edit. Now, what is this going to do? It basically is going to just open up the markdown file in our editor. And in this case, it's going to be NeoVim. Okay, so you can make changes here and go, oh yeah, I want to make a change. And I don't know, what would we do? Let's just say this is a new line. And then let's go ahead and save that, and let's go back and just let's go ahead and close this terminal. Let's go back over to 4, and then let's say note. Okay, and this is a new line, is now part of that note. So you can add to an individual note by editing the markdown file. Very, very simple. And that is the goal. It was intended to be incredibly simple. And that's what we've come up with. And in basically, what is it? Maybe 150 lines of code. It does everything. Actually, a little bit more. A lot of this stuff is just help. So if you go, well, I just want to show, clear the screen and say note, help. Okay, it will give you a usage. That's what that section is doing. Okay, cool. The next major thing is to-do management. So you could make an argument that note-taking and to-do management are roughly the same thing. To me, it's not. That's why I kind of wanted to separate the two out. So let's go back over here and just say to-do. Okay, there are no tasks. All right, let's just say to-do. Change the documentation for ButterBash. Okay, and that's been added. Let's add a couple more. I'll just say to do. Take out the trash. And to do buy bananas. Okay, now let's go ahead and clear the screen and say to do. And there is your 3 active tasks. What if I took out the trash? I could mark it off by just saying to do done 2. And it would say completed, take out the trash. And so when I say run to do again, it's going to show that it basically marked off the take out the trash on today's date. What if I just didn't want the bananas to be on my task list anymore? I could just say to do remove. Remember, now it's renumbered, so I'm going to say remove 2. And it will remove that from my task list. For whatever reason, I just don't want it on my task list. Let's go ahead and clear and say, oh, well, it shows the one task that I have that's still not done, and it shows the one that I completed. But if I want to just clear, it will just then say to do. And now the only thing left is the initial task, which is change the documentation. All right, moving on. Let's move this over to workspace 2, right next to some of the bash scripts that are part of this bash RC project. Okay, so system.bash, so there is a sysinfo. So if I type sysinfo, it's going to say give me system information and just a little bit. That's all it's there, and it's all designed for. FCF this is an install tools function just in case. So let me go ahead and clear the screen and say install tools. This is going to end up saying, oh, it's already there. So I don't have to resource. But if I did want to, I just say reload, and there it is. It is resourced. Okay. Let's go over to the utils. And actually, let's go back to 1. So this section here, there's going to be some utils. We talked about sysinfo, but mkcd directory. So it creates and enters the directory. So let's just go, since I'm in the user home directory, if I just say mkcd projects, it's going to create and move into the projects directory. Also, let's just say I touch test.txt, okay? So it's created a file called test.txt. Now, is it here? Yeah, backup. So if I say backup test.txt, okay, it is actually going to create a time-specific backup of the file that was intended. I guess that's the only way to describe it. So we backed up that test.txt file. I apologize if I'm going a little quick. I don't want this to be, like I said, an hour-long video. If I say cd into that, what's it called? ButterBash. There we go. And I say dr size. It's going to tell me what the actual size of that directory is, how much disk space is actually being taken by that directory. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and let's look at the aliases, because there's a lot, okay? If you do a ... it's going to go cd ... and so on. You're going to be able to see a lot of stuff here. Many of these things you probably are already using in your bash RC, using EZA here or EXA. The other thing that I think is important to see is the Git stuff. If you are a Git user, there are aliases for you. NeoVim, Nano, Micro, and NeoVim. So there is some directory shortcuts that I use, as well as as going to my DWM directory. Okay, so that could be, I could probably do without that. But overall, there's nothing earth-shattering here, okay? What this is a little bit different though. In this VF, and this is a function that that is pretty good. I mean, it's basically only one line, but let's take a look at that real quick, okay? So let's open up a new, actually, let's make this on its own screen, and we're going to go here and say VF. Okay. Let's say we're looking for that note.bash right there at the very top, and it gives us a little bit of a snippet. What does it look like? But if we go ahead and actually hit enter, it will come up in the text editor. So if I go and quit, VF again, it's going to do exactly the same thing. So it's kind of, it's a very, very clean way to search for something that you don't know if you're looking for. You know, even the .note, .notes right there, right? And you just hit it, and these are the notes, and you can make or edit the notes like we were talking about before. Let's go ahead and close. So this is a ButterBash, you know. It is something that I have been working on for a bit. I'm continuing to work on it even today. You can see even in 23 minutes ago, there was a change made while I was actually doing the video because I wanted something a little bit different than what it was. And there was an error, actually. There was a flat out error bug that I wanted to fix before moving on in the video, and that's what happened. So anyway, I hope that some of this is interesting to you. It was interesting to me. So that's what what the criteria is for me to actually do videos. It's if it's not interesting to me, I just won't do it. So this was, and I thank you for watching and for subscribing and the whole 9 yards with hitting the thumbs up deal. All right, thanks, and see you soon.